Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei took to Twitter today, blasting Senate Republicans for sending a letter to Iranian leaders urging them to back out of a nuclear deal with the White House. The Ayatollah also slammed the address to Congress delivered by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. On Twitter, the Ayatollah writing, quote, "The Iran letter is indicative of collapse of political ethics in the U.S. According to international regulations, states can't breach agreements upon change of governments." He went on, "Each time we approach deadline for talks, the other party, especially U.S., adopt a harsher and more aggressive tone. It's one of their tricks of deception." And when speaking about Netanyahu, the Ayatollah referred to the prime minister as a Zionist clown. Hillary Clinton also tweeted about the GOP's letter to Iran, saying it undermines American leadership and that no one running for commander-in-chief should be signing on. All right, let's get the reaction from our panel. Richard Brodsky is a former Democratic New York State Assemblyman, now a senior fellow at Demos and a professor at NYU. Welcome back to the program.
Nice to be with you.
Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. Welcome back.
Thank you,
and
sir.
Bill O'Reilly is a Republican strategist.
Welcome him.
You're also welcome. Everybody's welcome on this panel. So Dominic and I have had a chance to talk about this over the last couple of days. And Bill, let me start with you because this is a Republican matter. These 40, on Twitter, there's a hashtag 47 Patriots for people who support them, 47 traitors, I think, for people who oppose it. What's your take? Should they have done what they did?
I go against my party on this one. I love Netanyahu speaking in Congress. I had no problem there, but I do come from the old-fashioned approach that politics ends at the nation's shores. I don't agree with the. I don't want to be in agreement with the Ayatollah here, but I don't think that members of Congress should interfere with foreign policy matters. I don't think it's a good idea. I think the precedent's awful. If the Democrats had done it, I'd be howling. And so, in good conscience, I can't support the Republicans doing it either.
Richard, surprisingly, you wrote about this in the Huffington Post.
I wrote about it from a perspective, because I'm old, going back to the Vietnam War.
Save that tape, by the way.
That's right. Well, one of us has admitted it. In the Vietnam War, we were looking for senators to stand up to President Johnson. And we found them. George McGovern, Senator Hatfield, a Republican, Senator Hughes, Senator Cranston. Terrific stuff. The country needed it. It was good for the country. But they never, ever decided that the way to take their position was to negotiate with Ho Chi Minh. And there's, I think, where the line here has to be drawn. If Republican senators oppose any deal, no matter how good, that's their right as senators. If they want to make that case to the American people, good for them. But what were people like John McCain thinking when they said it's not enough to make our case, we're going to violate the law, by the way, something called the Logan Act, and approach a foreign government contradicting the foreign policy of the nation. It's insane. It's the same kind of craziness that we've seen when you don't think the President of the United States is legitimate. Not that he's wrong. Anyone can be wrong. He's a Muslim. He's a Kenyan. He's a socialist. Doesn't love America. That kind of stuff leads to this kind of idiocy.
Dominic, do you think it's the sort of undermining of the president, that they don't think the president is legitimate and that leads them to write a letter like this? Or is it a simple disagreement about the policy, which I believe in their core they think the deal would be a horrible thing?
Well, one, every U.S. senator knows that the president is legitimate, no matter whether the president is a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, whatever. You know that the president of the United States is legitimate. But what this is about is undermining him. It's sending a message internationally, and I think I appreciate your candid nature, because even when we disagree with those that we support, we should call it for what it is. And so, I appreciate that, because it is disrespectful to the presidency. But it's also sending a message, in my opinion, to Americans to say, you know what, he doesn't really have as much credibility as you think. But what I really think all of this stems from, and I don't know if me and Mr. Brodsky will disagree on this, but this is why I did not want him to go alone at immigration. Because the Republican majority was just taking over, and once President Obama decided to do that via executive action, it was a declaration of war. Oh. His supporters will say no, that they were going to go after him anyway, but it was a declaration of war.
Supporters are going to say that he believed it was the right thing to do, And just like the senators, he has every right to do the right thing he believes is right. And it's no declaration of war for the members of the United States Senate Republicans to say the president's wrong in Iran. It's no declaration of war for the president of the United States to say we're going to do what the law permits with respect to immigration. What's a declaration of war is writing to a foreign government. That's where you got him to come and sort of join the living here. And I think that's the heart of it, and that's what's wrong, and it ain't going to go away. It's a big deal.
I think Republicans are very frustrated at what they see as this president twisting the Constitution and exceeding his authority in several places. And I think it prompted this type of reaction. I don't think it was the right reaction. The country needs to speak with one voice, and that comes out of the White House.
Well, and let me ask you more, because I got into that conversation with Congressman Himes, having first gotten into it with Congressman Zeldin earlier this week. And Congressman Zeldin, as I explained, basically said we should speak with one voice, except when that voice is so incredibly wrong as it is in this case on a deal with Iran. What's the danger of that, of having competing voices?
What's the line in The Godfather when Salazzo comes down? They say, never talk about the family's business outside the family.
Never talk to anyone outside the family.
About a business again.
Never trust anyone outside the family.
That's the bottom line of it.
But certainly somebody in Iran can tune into our cable shows, could tune into this show and hear the debates that we're having.
I understand, but the world looks at America, and the representative of America is the president ultimately. And when they see disunion and disharmony to this extent, America is vulnerable.
Would you believe that if all they had done is sent a letter to the president?
No.
So it's, again, I think we're in agreement.
Right.
That it's the reach out to the foreign government, not the substance of their views, that was the problem.
Finally, and I know we're up against time, but do you see a deal with Iran being as dangerous as the opponents say it is?
Yes. I totally oppose a deal with Iran. I think Iran is playing our president for a fool, frankly. That's my opinion.
Just so they can get the sanctions lifted to help their economy?
I think they're playing game. They're playing the waiting game. They're going to get there with the bomb, and once they do, then we can never roll that back.
But we would still
they're building a second Persian Empire.
And this is the point I kept going at with Congressman Zeldin. We would still have the intelligence capability that we have right now if they move closer to a bomb, even after we sign a deal. So why not sign a deal and get verification, or maybe delay the process?
Because once we allow them to get the bomb, we've legitimized it. We've legitimized.
But we can still act to stop it.
Legitimized it.
We have.
The problem, assume it's a good deal as the president describes it, verifiable for a time period, limits on numbers. Let's just assume that for a second. If that's the case, the United States cannot be worse off with that deal and the rest of the world than it would be letting them go. You think they're going to stop making a bomb if there's no deal?
No, I think something has to be done about it, because you're going to.
You're willing to go to war?
You're going to see a nuclear arms race in the Middle East.
Are you willing to go to war?
You're going to see the Saudis. You're going to see the Egyptians get in the game, and then you're going to see suitcase nukes.
Are you willing to go to war?
You have to be.
Well, you know what? It's a last resort.
It's a last resort.
You people got us into trouble in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I understand.
Don't. I meant him.
Yeah.
Oh, you meant him?
All right. Okay.
Careful.
All right. Yeah. You people use you people a lot. We're going to take a break. Up next, Governor Cuomo shoots down a plan by state Democrats to raise the minimum wage. Also, why the mayor is sticking to his own plan and calling the Dems unrealistic.